welcome to another Lewis Art video. So this was a slightly different video tonight. This week has kind of gone a bit upside down for me, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get out to the usual time with Mike. So just to make sure I get a bit of a painting done and get something on video, I thought I'd just take a walk out not far from my home and see what's out and about in the local park area. There is a really interesting building over here that I thought about painting, but I've got a feeling it might all be in shade, and I'm not sure how that's gonna look. So let's go and have a look. So here it is. It's a fascinating building, and the story goes, it's basically someone's back garden, and the gent who owned the land and the house there was a builder, and he built this interesting thing. And you can see it from miles away, and I thought it would make an interesting painting. Some of the trees around it as well are absolutely fantastic. You could pretty much just spend the whole time painting that, to be honest. It is a very interesting spot. Not sure about the light tonight, but I think it might be worth having a shot at it. I'm quite keen to drop back away as much as possible. Let's see if I can just take that out. There we are, and get something like that in where I get a bit of a tree in there tonight. So I'm going to just walk around, get my position, and then take a photo, and then get out my easel. So in the back, as usual, I have my paint thinner, my liquid, brush cleaner, bin foot bag through the middle, and pot for my brushes and things and palette knives to go into here. Let's have a look at the paints. So for today, I've got cadmium lemon, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, viridian green, ultramarine blue, and titanium white. So I'm going to go with a fairly limited palette, as I haven't got a great deal of time anyway, so I'm going to pretty much punch this one out. So let's go for it. Here's my canvas for today. It's a canvas board, 100% pure cotton, double gesso prime, suitable for oil and acrylics, 10" by 12. I had a really interesting comment from someone called Zed Shah. It says, good effort, just a couple of things to keep in mind. Even if the panel is pre-primed, which it was, it is better to give it at least two coats of gesso at home. That makes it easier for the first layer to spread around and erase without using too much terps. So that's a really good tip there, so thank you for that one. So what I did with this one was I did put in a quite thin coat so that they dried nice and quick, but there are two thin layers of gesso on top of the canvas that was already there today. So let's get this one up, and let's look at the composition and get painting. So I've put a bit of burnt sienna, like last time, over the board and then wiped it back off again. So here we are, this is my outline here, the sky through here, trees up in here, and then we can, and then the castle building here, which is pretty much covered over, greened up here, and then the hedge that runs along. So there's a sort of trunk of a tree down here that I might put in as a bit of a step, to be honest. So I'll give that a go, I think. And then, yep, now I'm just going to sort of block in the bits and pieces and then crack on. So that's the sky sort of mapped in. I've taken a tree out a little bit more there where I've sort of bashing around, so I'm just going to wipe that back in, and then put a bit more in here, so that'll be the sky showing through the trees. And then I'm going to go into this mid section, which will be the main sort of colour of this bit, before I sort of patch in the green trees and that around it, I think. Yeah, let's go for that. So once again, really having to fly through quite quickly, so I've sort of coloured in this area here. The light is already fading, so I'm going to start thinking about this tree here on this side, and then potentially that may be me out of time as it's getting darker and darker already. I'm quite surprised how quickly the light's gone. I may have to end up finishing this one off in the studio, I don't know, but yeah, let's keep going for a bit longer. I think it's time for a coffee. Cheers. So the light has pretty much disappeared. It was being a bit quicker than I expected. So what I'm going to do, I've got the photo. I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to wash in a bit of the green in and around, and then I got to just pack up, leave it there, and head away, and probably finish off in the studio for a change. Let's see how that goes. Truth of the matter is, when I got back I started messing around with it and it was quite late and I wasn't really set up properly to think about painting and stuff like that, and I messed it up completely. Absolutely ruined the whole thing, but it's a disaster, and I've just started scraping back because it just went wrong. And well, so now I'm stuck at a point where I think, well, what do I do? Do I go back again? I mean, I pretty much just brushed over it in the end and wrote an expletive on there. And I don't know now, what do I do? You can see it. I don't know whether to give up on this one, let it go, or whether to try and bring it back. I've absolutely destroyed it. When I came back, it was okay, and I started sort of adding in bits, and yeah, it just made a mess. So I'm going to stop and think about it, and if I do decide to come back at it, I'll go back at it a bit later on when I've come away completely. Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll take a picture of it on my phone. I'm not even, when I got back, I was like, in the end, the composition, I mean, this section down here is like, the trees were just like, I don't even know what I'm doing with them. Lost any sort of tone of colour, any sort of colour in there. The sky, obviously, I've just completely ruined. Genius, really. So this is pretty much just a complete and utter overhaul. I thought about the perspective of this castle a little bit. The picture that I took, the castle's above me. I don't get that feeling from what I've done, so I've kind of tried to get that in a little bit more. So the angle of the castle will change slightly, so it's pushed up. It may not be high enough, but that's where I'm going to leave it now. I'm not going to take it any higher. I could have brought it out, I suppose, made it more imposing, but then I don't know that that would have worked at all. So what I'm actually going to do is, all of this area here is actually sky. So I'm going to take all that away, spend a little bit more detail on the branch on this side, bring that back out, fade these greens, might even just leave them alone back there, tidy this tree up a bit, and then sort of bring this hedge down and across here, and a little bit more here. So there's just a little tiny bit of grass that's going to be in there as a sort of walkway, and then this is going to hedge, and then that's going to hedge there. So it's going to sort of sit a little bit more like that. And then it's a case of darks, warms and colds. So it was kind of evening, so there's a lot of warmer colours and a lot of shade, warm shade, warm shade. So I'm going to try and bring that into the picture. If I can salvage it, great. If I can't, you live and learn. So, you know, I found this painting so difficult. I made such a mess of it, and I have applied so much paint that, well, it just got ridiculous. And, you know, I tried to get it to a point where it was kind of vaguely okay. But yeah, this one was a bit of a nightmare. So the sky itself, you know, I've put in some blues and oranges and whites in there, and the biggest problem was I kept washing in green into it, so I had to keep cleaning it up by putting more white, more paint, more blue, more orange. The trees themselves, I mean, once I'd come away and I was working off a tiny photo off of the camera, I didn't have any way of sort of putting it up larger. It just became impossible to track those trees, and so I've effectively just made them up. So very different to being out there and looking. And you know, my brush strokes, I've knifed, I've scraped off, I've brushed, I've scraped off, I've reapplied, I've scraped off, and everything about this picture is like has got like too many layers on it. I've tried to bring out the shape of the castle itself, adding in some blues in here to try and work with the orange in there. I've tried to lighten up the grass across the bottom towards the end and bring in this yellow yellow grass a little bit more. It was quite honestly a nightmare, and for a bit I thought I was getting somewhere. I thought I had a pattern in place, and I think with this one, I think it's come down to my draftsmanship, my ability to sketch out, my observational skills. I have got so much work to do to improve my art. But yet again, point being, I have done it. I have done another painting. I've got out there. I really thought this week I wasn't going to get a painting done. I really thought this week I'd just leave it, and then I thought, no, you've got to commit to a painting. You've got to keep going, and you mustn't give up. And so here it is. This is what I achieved. At the end of the day, am I pleased with it? No, but you know, maybe in a few weeks, a month's time, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, I'll look back at this painting and go, do you know what? I remember that painting. It was one of those paintings where I just couldn't get it right, but it gave me the determination to keep going. And that's what I'm going to stick with. So as always, thanks for watching. There it is. It's what it is. Some days you win, some days you lose. Some days you fall over and get a bruise. I don't know. Is that even a thing? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this or any of my other videos, there are a number of ways you can support me in the future. Like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. And now you can even donate on my Buy Me a Coffee page. As you can see from my new videos, I love coffee. But your donation will do more than just keep me full of caffeine. Every donation will go straight into buying new art materials for future projects, so your help will be truly appreciated. It's easy to use. Simply follow the link and you can donate as little as £2 to help out. Feel free to leave a comment, and there's even a link to my website. Your support really does go a long way to helping me to create more art in the future. Thanks.